Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about American politics, Andrew Yang, and Star Wars. All right, so today is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And today I want to talk about American politics, Andrew Yang, and Star Wars, specifically my favorite moment in any Star Wars film ever, and how it relates to my favorite moment of the 2020 U.S. presidential primary race. All right. So first, just talk a little bit about me and Star Wars. So Star Wars is incredibly special to me. It's incredibly unique. So I saw Star Wars when I was, for the first time in theaters, when I was 7 years old. It's indelibly written on my mind and heart. I was in Savannah, Georgia at the time. That's where my family lived, and my father took me and my brother and my mother to Star Wars. I remember that the walls were yellow, walking into the theater, and that the carpet was maroon, and of course I remember every moment of the film. I remember that, in the, so it came out on May 4th, 1977, and I think we saw it on the Saturday, so I think that was like May 5th, right? So like we saw it on opening weekend. And in December, I remember this incredible, it was either December 70, I think it was December 77. And I remember just this incredible Christmas for me and my brother. And we got, my parents got us, every Star Wars toy that Kenner made. It was incredible. Me and my brother still remember that to this day. And so, From 1977 forward, Star Wars has been a huge part of my life. I have never, ever missed an opening to a Star Wars film. I've seen every Star Wars movie on opening night. And I remember when I was 15 years old. Actually, I think I was 13. And I remember waiting in line for tickets to see Return of the Jedi. The building where that happened is now, it's it's a horse betting. The movie theater closed and they now run horse betting in there. It's crazy. So I have a million memories connected to Star Wars. And I still, I take vacation when a new Star Wars movie comes out. It's crazy, right? It just means a huge amount to me. All right. So, Star Wars very much connects to my passion for American politics. So let me explain my favorite moment in any Star Wars film. So my favorite moment in any Star Wars film happens in Episode 1, and it is, so in the prequels. I'm a fan of the prequels. I am an unapologetic fan of the prequels, and I can say that with pride now, because everybody's coming back to realize the genius of the prequels. Especially when the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy has really not delivered. Although again, I'm a big fan of all Star Wars movies. I've seen all Star Wars movies, and so basically, my favorite Star Wars moment is in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, and it is in the prequels, and it is when Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn initially engaged Darth Maul in a three-person lightsaber fight. So Ray Park plays Darth Maul, right? And Qui-Gon Jinn, it's just it goes against Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so here's my favorite part. So basically, the two of them, Darth Maul brings out his dual lightsaber. Obi-Wan Kenobi brings out his, Obi-Wan Kenobi brings out his lightsaber. Qui-Gon Jinn brings out his lightsaber, and the two of them go against Darth Maul. And it was so deep, right? Because one of the things I thought was really interesting was the Jedis are so complex, right? And that very much is like American politics, right? Because the Jedi, they look good at the start, but then when you look a little closer, like most politicians, there's a little bit of rust under the hood, right? It's just, you're like, what's going on here? Right? And so, but I love that idea that Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, they see Darth Maul and they immediately both bring out their lightsabers and they double team to defeat him, right? And the reason why is Qui-Gon, this guy's a Jedi Master, And actually, I think he was a Jedi. Was he a Jedi Master or a Jedi Knight? I think he was a Jedi Master. And so Obi-Wan was his Padawan. Or actually, no, Obi-Wan was a Jedi Knight at this point, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So, and the two of them go against Darth Maul. And I just love that idea that, like, there's no conversation. They just immediately know that they both have to fight Darth Maul to defeat him, right? And so I'm going to bring my analogies. I'm going to start my analogies right now, right? So Darth Maul in this circumstance is Andrew Yang. He, and the reason why I'm going to do this is more and more as I have been watching Star Wars, and I watch a lot of Star Wars. I just finished Clone Wars Season 7. Fantastic. When I look at Darth Maul, I see Andrew Yang. And the reason why is there's just so many analogies between the two of them. So one, Darth Maul is just incredibly deadly fighter. Like, just down and dirty, like, he's a competitor, right, at heart. And the fight's the thing. And I really feel that Andrew Yang, that is him. He is a fighter to the core, right? And the reality is, of course, I'm incredibly disappointed. Well, here's the thing. Joe Biden didn't defeat Andrew Yang. The establishment refused to allow anything but the most safe, what they believe to be the safest candidate to move forward, right? And I think really what happened was Joe Biden was just shoved down Blue America's throat, and that's the whole of it. And boy, are we choking on him now. Good Lord, it is a mess, right? So, but Andrew Yang, he's just an absolute fighter, exactly like Darth Maul, right? And Darth Maul, so at this point, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn engage Darth Maul, and they're in a hangar bay where there's these Naboo starfighters. And Darth Maul brings out his lightsaber, and he's like, he takes his double-bladed red lightsaber, which is full-on awesome, like 2 kyber crystals in the thing, like, and he just starts going crazy, like, and just effortlessly fighting 2 Jedis at once, right? Because Darth Maul is just pure Mac, right? And so Darth Maul is fighting these 2 Jedi, and it is 2 Jedi, right? So he starts to give ground, and he realizes I need more. I need to use the space around me, and this open space of the hangar bay is not going to assist me in defeating these 2 Jedi, right? So he starts to move back, and some of the Trade Federation's droids are there, and Darth Maul, while he is fighting 2 Jedi, takes out a couple of these robot droids, the Trade Federation's fighter droids, and so Darth Maul is backing up out of the hangar bay. It's my favorite moment from any Star Wars movie. He's backing up from the 2 Jedi. He's got his blades going, right, and Qui-Gon Jinn is closing in on him, and Obi-Wan is closing in on him, and what he does is, as he backs up, as he is walking backwards, fighting 2 Jedi, he takes with his hand and he actually with the Force, right? He holds his double lightsaber in one hand and uses the Force with his other hand to pick up a droid head, right? And he uses the Force and flings the droid head into the button that releases the door that lets him leave the hangar bay. He does it with the Force while he's fighting 2 Jedi. It takes 2 seconds in the movie. If you are not an action fan, you will miss it, right? If you are not an aficionado of lightsaber fights, you will miss it. If you don't know what a Sith is, you will miss it, right? It's 2 seconds of footage. And Darth Maul just takes this robot head, flings it with the Force, and effortlessly opens a door behind him so that he can bring the fight with 2 Jedi to a new fighting space, to give himself room to jump, to give himself room to knock the other Jedis off of these high surfaces, and where he can use the environment in a better way, rather than just being surrounded by 2 opponents, right? And when I saw that, it just blew me away. I was like, this is incredible. It was an incredible moment. It was an incredible action scene. It was an incredible science fiction scene. It was an incredible movie scene. Honestly, there's nothing like it in any movie I've ever seen. John Wick's comes about closest, right? John Wick's got some amazing action scenes, but Darth Maul is just a pure awesome Mac, right? And this was him at his height, right? So Darth Maul hits this door. It opens up, and then they open into this other fighting arena, right? And if you understand like kinetic action, the idea of using your environment as a tool, the idea of using positioning, and also the absolute fearlessness of Darth Maul when these two Jedi are coming at him, right? All that is Andrew Yang. All of it, right? He is the Andrew Yang. So Andrew Yang is the Darth Maul of our day, right? Now, what is the moment in the 2020 U.S. presidential primary that I feel Andrew Yang flung that droid head, and opened up into a new environment? Well, I think, and my favorite moment of the 2020 U.S. presidential primary race was Andrew Yang made debate number 6, missed debate number 7, and returned like a king in debate number 8, right? And it was just so special because the blue power base had absolutely shamed themselves with debate 7. It was the start of the Democrat debates where 5, 6, 7 people all that made the lens flare look like a J.J. Abrams film, and it was very much like Vampire Weekend's latest album, Unbearably White. Basically, this was where Andrew Yang came back, and debate number 7 missing, no Andrew Yang and no people of color, and Andrew Yang coming back, and doing something that Cory Booker couldn't do, doing something that Kamala Harris couldn't do, doing something that no other minority could accomplish, right? And the reason why is Andrew Yang is an absolute predator fighter, right? And the only reason that he did not go farther in this election was right now we live in these terrible times where 51% of Americans believe in the simple silhouette for president, that the president should have 2 attributes, right? The 2 attributes that the first 43 presidents had, that our 45th president had, and that only President Obama was able to interrupt for a New York second in America's history, right? But Andrew Yang is an absolute predator fighter, and he went, and honestly, he's exactly like Obama in that Obama was incredible. He really did shatter one of the 2 attributes, and it's incredible that he accomplished that much. But the reality is, Andrew Yang was really able to accomplish a lot, and the reason why is this simple silhouette problem is so massive. It is so massive, and it's going to take a lot to break it. It really is, and I really feel like Andrew Yang's tenacious fighting spirit really, was incredible, and it was important, right? Now, I hear you. You're like, wait a second, Scott. You keep saying that Andrew Yang is charismatic, intelligent, and noble. Well, Darth Maul, he wasn't very charismatic, he wasn't intelligent, and he wasn't noble, right? One of the things that's really, really interesting about Darth Maul is Obi-Wan Kenobi cut Darth Maul in half, and Darth Maul fell into a pit. But in canon today, in Star Wars, Darth Maul is alive. He lived through that. He lived through being cut in half. And the bottom of his body was replaced with, first it was replaced with essentially like an arachnid droid body, right? That was later replaced with robotic legs, right? And actually in, spoiler warning for Clone Wars Season 7, in Clone Wars Season 7, which is canon, right? That's Star Wars canon. This isn't some sloughed off, nonsense that Disney got rid of, right? Darth Maul is actually quite alive, and actually, Ahsoka Tano is invited by him to overthrow the Empire, right? So Darth Maul, who seemed to be dead and a villain, actually now in Star Wars canon is alive and is on the side of the rebels, trying to do the same goals as the rebels, right? So, and that's very much Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang is not what you expect. He's more than you expect. And boy, I am hoping that he is alive when we all think he's politically dead. I'm hoping that he is, in the days of the arachnid droid body on the bottom half, and that soon he'll be back to his regular form, right? Now, I don't think that's going to be in 2024. I've discussed that. But the reality is, I really think Andrew Yang is, I don't think people realize how important he is, just like Darth Maul. Darth Maul, and here's the other thing is, George Lucas threw Darth Maul away at the end of episode 1 because he didn't think he was that interesting. But the people said, no, this character is interesting and we want more of this and less of the other stuff that you put in here, right? And I think that's Andrew Yang. I think, when he was the coolest thing in the 2020 U.S. presidential primary race. Everything else was a bunch of nonsense. The candidate we got is not worthy to tie Andrew Yang's shoelaces, right? Like, it's pathetic where we've landed. And I think everyone can see that now, right? Like, I've been saying it for months, but now the rest of the world is like, oh no, our bright, shining blue candidate turns out to be absolutely not great from 55 different angles, right? But Andrew Yang is great from 55 different angles. He is the Darth Maul of the 2020 U.S. presidential primary. Darth Maul throwing a droid head to open up a door behind him while he fights 2 establishment Jedi, right? That's my favorite moment in Star Wars. But Andrew Yang returning like an absolute Mac in debate number 8, and showing that he really was the finest candidate that was in this election, and he should have been our president, right? But that, just like most of the time, Americans don't see the brilliance, they don't see the gold, right? They're looking at rocks on the ground, right? And but this is where we're at. But Star Wars is incredibly precious to me, and when I look at Star Wars, I see Andrew Yang and I see Darth Maul synonymous. The coolest thing in the elements they're in. Darth Maul is the coolest thing in Star Wars. Andrew Yang is the coolest thing the Democrats have. And hopefully the Democrats are going to be able to be like the Star Wars community and bring Andrew Yang back and find something useful and helpful for him to do. Especially if we get a bounce out from Biden. And I think the bounce out could be coming quick. I truly, like I said, I never for a single moment have I thought that Biden would make it to the convention. I still say that. I don't think he's going to make it to the convention, right? So Andrew Yang needs to keep his double lightsaber ready. He needs to keep those kyber crystals very charged. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. What is your favorite Star Wars moment from all the Star Wars films? And what was your favorite moment of the 2020 U.S. presidential primary race? I know it's not anything that's happened within the last month or two, because you've been having to sit around watching Biden pretend to be a candidate. But here we are. Please let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.